Welcome, my 335 subscribers, everyone on Impact Reddit, and everyone who believes in Joe Hendry. Welcome to my first Impact Wrestling TV show review for the February 16th show. Please leave a like on the video since apparently I need to tell you to do that because this instructional video about being a YouTuber told me to do it. Let's begin. So the show starts out with a cinematic recap, and we get cinematic segments all throughout the show, and this is a nice change. Especially the recap. I don't see this done by anything else. This is so TV series, and it gives like a different feel from the other promotions. I would actually like AEW to do something like this, not every week, but like closer to pay-per-views like the situation now. I also like the cinematic style of backstage segment where people are just having conversations. Like, there doesn't have to be an interviewer right there. Like, pretend you're in a soap opera or something. But yeah, that has to be like my favorite thing about Impact. My least favorite thing, you're gonna find out later. And it involves one comedy match that didn't quite hit for me, since I'm pretty young. Yeah, if I remember correctly, the encounter between Wheeler and Orange Cassidy is sort of like this, but Impact like dedicates itself completely to that. There are no backstage interviewers in some of these, especially for the current storyline going on with Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, and Joe Hendry. It doesn't make it clear how like Cardona and Myers are connected to Hendry right now. They might all clash at the pay-per-view. I think it's called No Surrender. They're all gonna clash there, I think. Or they can even add Matt Cardona next week. Yeah, I'm feeling that's gonna happen, since he was nowhere near the show tonight. The second major story is Kenny King and Rich Swann, who's the number one contender. And this is alright. It's pretty much, if I beat you, I'm gonna replace you in your match. There's no way Kenny King's gonna win, but yeah, who knows? They end it kind of vaguely later on in the main event. But yeah, the first match on the card is Kushida versus Chris Bay. So Kushida is flanked by Motor City Machine Guns. All of the Time Splitters are there. And then Chris Bay is accompanied by Ace Austin of Bullet Club. So I like the catch wrestling to start. I know I say this a lot, but more matches should try to do this. Like, even if it's just like 1 or 2 matches in the card, like just like do this. It makes what you're doing look like wrestling instead of just doing punches and kicks. Yeah, it's pretty much how like old American wrestling used to do it. Just punches, kicks, and taunts. You're supposed to lock up or something, remember? You're supposed to wrestle. Like, even Kenny Omega does a lot more lockups and stuff. But yeah, I like that I can hear the words so clearly. Like what the wrestlers are yelling out. It's not muffed out just like in other promotions. But what's bad about the audio here is that I can't hear the counting of the threes. The 3 counts, the pins. When people went for pins in this show, I think like for 2 matches, for here in the main event, I thought there was a kick out. Like, I only heard 2 for this match, and then the winner was announced. For the last match, I did not hear any. I had to look at the screen, but camera was shifted too much to the actual pin and not to the ref's hand that I didn't know the count that was going on. And I'm not expected to count. That's the ref's job. Improve that part of the audio, please. But Chris Bay is a great trash talker. And I don't think I've ever heard a crowd cheer for Test of Strength ever before. That was actually pretty cool. Match follows a moderate pace and it doesn't follow the usual pattern of matches. I.e., evenly matched start, heel takes control, babyface makes a comeback, finish. Here, Kushida, the guy with the actual submission move as a finisher. And if you didn't know the context, if you didn't know who was heel or face, you would have thought Kushida was the heel. Dude just kicked the shit out of Chris Bay's arm. He did everything. He like went MJF on that arm. Selling was consistent, even on offense, while punching, while doing grappling moves that make a person land on his arm. It was like a grounded high-flying match for Chris Bay. He didn't do springboards. They only went for like 1 diving move, and it happens like later on. But Chris Bay like does these acrobatic stuff that doesn't require him going on the ropes or on the turnbuckles. But yeah, Chris Bay sells on offense, but he also uses the injured arm a lot, which makes him look a bit dumb, but tough. So we have great limb work. Match has a clear-cut story. but I'm of the belief that limb work does not equal story all of the time, or having conversations in matches does not equal story all of the time. Top 3 spots of the match, I'm gonna have to give an honorable mention to this bottom rope 619 by Chris Bay as he's being thrown back into the ring. He spins back and hits Kushida. Number 3 is a springboard Faymaster by Chris Bay. Chris Bay, underrated wrestler. Number 2 is this Pele kick. Yeah, Chris Bay is really doing it. And number 1 is this diving swanton from the top turnbuckle to the outside to a standing Chris Bay by Kushida this time. We have a climax of false finishes, Tiger Driver, a catch, Jujigatami as Chris Bay is bouncing off the ropes, and the actual finish is a hoverboard lock roll-up, which is just nice. I would have preferred a tap out, but this is okay. Kushida still won, and Chris Bay, who's hyper talented, is protected, I think. So this match was... this match is pay-per-view undercard. And I think this might be match of the night for me. I like the sell job by Chris Bay. And I think I just care more about Kushida than most other wrestlers in the show, but let's continue. So after this is a cinematic backstage segment with Tommy Dreamer, Santino Marella, who's the GM, and Bubba Ray Dudley, or Bully Ray. Yeah, Bully Ray Dudley, not Bubba. I think that's trademarked. But apparently this feud stems from a bigger factional feud where Mickey James has offended Bully Ray for some odd reason. And then this is the start of a chain of just questionable managerial decisions by the general manager Santino Marella. I like the acting here. Everyone's solid. Veterans, all of them. Best actor is Santino Marella, who does the accent and is fully dedicated. He even has a little badge on him. But yeah, the solution he proposes is to fucking get them on Busted Open Live to promote the podcast and that event. What? This man has ulterior motives. How does this solve anything? I mean, if I were GM, I would, on purpose, in the shadows, pit people against each other. I would have a team of just instigators to start feuds and then get more people to watch my show. Honestly, why is a GM never like that? It's always trying to keep the peace. Have a malevolent GM who actually wants to see chaos. I don't know if Santino's just an incompetent general manager or he's doing this on purpose. Because if he's doing this on purpose in kayfabe, that'll be cool. But I like the decision that he makes after because Bully Ray does not want to accept this. He wants Tommy Dreamer gone out of the company. He wants to beat his ass. Have you not kicked each other's ass enough? But yeah, it's still gonna be fun. I like Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer, even though I wasn't born yet during that time. But it's this match stipulation that they're given. It's whoever beats their opponent next week faster gets to talk first, and that's what this mini feud is all about. It's connecting to a podcast and who gets to speak first, putting over that podcast. And this is fucking genius by Santino. Or the booking by Scott D'Amore. Because we have mini stipulations. Why not have these in AEW or in WWE? Or have these unwritten stipulations that dudes in feuds just agree in having. This just shakes up everything and I love it. So yeah, great segment. Santino manages to save his ass as GM. He was about to be incompetent, but he makes that decision safe. What a great, entertaining character. But as a GM, a bit questionable. Next is a qualifying match for the number 1 contender 4-way at No Surrender. Brian Myers and PCO are already in the match. And so now we have Steve Macklin and Rhino going for the 3rd spot. And this is a very conventional TV brawl. A lot of made-for-TV punching, very 2000s, without much story. Yes, this match, even though not a spot fest, this was slow as fuck. There was a lot of punches thrown, but there was no story here. Absolutely none. This was just a tournament match. Steve Macklin had to do all of the bumps. He had to take all of the more complicated moves from Rhino, while all of his offense is just punching, clotheslines. Steve Macklin here, future world champion. He made this match watchable with Rhino, who was gassed halfway in. I think Rhino should stay in the tag team division. He's getting up there in age, and yeah, he wasn't very pretty to watch here. I think with Heath, who can still move, you could hide Rhino's deficiencies. You can just have him gore and then win the match for them. Finish is pretty cool. It's a zigzag / wake up call. It's Heath's finisher done to Rhino for the win by Steve Macklin. This is like the only grapple bump that Rhino takes the whole match. So yeah, nostalgia ain't that pretty, ain't it? All that's missing here was the taunting, and this would have been Nostalgia Jones. TV undercard. Crowd was so lukewarm for this. So yeah, next is the Masha Slamovich interview, and this was fucking genius. Masha cut the promo in Russian. She sounds so cool and badass just saying da and niet that I thought this was gonna be the whole interview. She's like an Ivan Drago. She's like a Soviet Russian character. It's so old school, but so cool. It's like Zoya the Destroyer, but can actually work, and like is a more believable heel. But yeah, it's better than just having an accent. And oh yeah, again, they have subtitles. Plus points for this shit. We need subtitles in replays. Parenthesis for commentary, and then no parenthesis for the things actually said. God, Impact is cool. Next match is what I hated the most. Barry Horowitz versus Johnny Swinger. So Johnny Swinger has this loser gimmick where he's 0-50. And I think it's agreed that when he gets 50 wins, he gets a title shot. God knows when that's going to happen, but Johnny Swinger's pretty entertaining. I like this whole thing. I like the whole gimmick. They do this thing where, oh, there's a 0 fail rate in this match that I've set you up in. You're going to have your first win. God, just set him up in a match against Brandon Cutler or Peter Avalon. Johnny Swinger is bound to have a win against them. But the person they bring out is Barry Horowitz. So I have no idea who this is. Apparently, he's like a jobber character from back in the day that's mentioned all of the time in like these podcasts by older people. But the crowd was dead when he entered. It was kind of depressing, but when the match started, God bless Barry Horowitz's heart, he manages to gain crowd support. The match was a whole lot of nothing though, but it's not expected to be anything. It's like pure comedy and randomness, but isn't the sort that I like. It doesn't share my sense of humor because Swinger almost wins the match. He like almost neck breakers Barry Horowitz, but then lights go out and then the Kiss Demon comes out. The Kiss Demon? I don't know who this is. Any older fans pop for this? I would have preferred just like in-ring shenanigans. This didn't need like external factors to determine the winner. I would have rather had Barry Horowitz like maybe cheat, have Johnny Swinger cheat, and then have Barry Horowitz take advantage of this or something. Yeah, the Kiss Demon thing, terrible shit. They're not even allowed to use Kiss. It's just the demon. Why not the Smooch Demon or something? The finish is an abdominal stretch that turns into a roll-up for the win. Barry Horowitz fucking wins. And I'm okay with this. TV undercard. I was thinking of giving this like shouldn't be on TV or dark, but it was okay. Barry Horowitz managed to gain crowd support. It's on the very low side of TV undercard though. The Kiss Demon thing, just bad. So speaking of bad, we have the Moose interview. So Moose, I know who is like a top talent of like Impact. He's high up in the card. He was high up in the card. Former Impact champion. But he cuts this like basic promo where he's having trouble getting the words out. Man has 0 personality. He's void of charisma. He's a big dude, but not really that much. Like Satnam Singh has more character than this guy. Or Omos. Not Parker Boudreaux and Trench though. They're terrible right now. But yeah, every other like big man, former football player, like a Brian Pillman or something, has more character than this guy. I'm not a fan of Moose as of now. Maybe he can win me in his matches. He just doesn't sound very bright. And he's not portrayed very bright either. Since he goes to destroy Joe Hendry's car, he brings out a bat and then he starts going after this car. It takes about like 3 hits to damage the windshield. I think he should have went for more. This car should have been totaled. He should have gone like Street Fighter on this car. But this is Santino's car. General Manager Santino Marella shows up, proves that this is his car, making Moose look dumb. And then finally, the man who saves this segment, the reason why I'm watching this show, I believe in Joe Hendry. He says like 2 words, but that's more personality than Moose shows, with all of the words that he said and all the things he did in this segment. But Santino, what are you doing? He makes a super questionable managerial decision. The man rewards the guy who destroyed his car by giving him a title match at the pay-per-view against Joe Hendry. Like, exactly what he wanted. What the fuck? Maybe like set him up in a match against Matt Cardona, have it be a non-finish, and then turn the match at the pay-per-view into a triple threat. Easy. But instead, they fucking reward the guy who destroyed his car. Moose was smiling throughout all this. Poor Joe Hendry. What a alright segment. I like the comedy, but the booking doesn't make sense in this one. So after this is Eddie Edwards versus the red-headed rebel, Heath. So this is a faster match than the last two. I like the moves that Heath does. It's a lot more than what he used to do in the WWE. He fits Impact so much. I'm so proud of Heath. Hopefully him and his kids are eating well. Them cheese and crackers. This one follows the usual structure. Eddie Edwards is the heel and Heath is the face, and I think this match could have used more talking. There was a lot of crowd working by Eddie Edwards. Heath is a bit like swimming in molasses in some of his moves, but it's okay. It's not that bad. He still manages to do them perfectly. Eddie Edwards is clearly the superior wrestler, and he should have won, I think, since he has a feud with former Honor No More member PCO. I also think that Eddie would have made the match better, but Heath won in the end. Very static though by Eddie. This match has the hardest hitting strikes, especially from Eddie Edwards. He should have won. But the match doesn't have a proper climax, I think. It's very made for TV as well. And the ending ruins the match. This was terrible. We have the lights coming out and like the Frankenstein electricity happening around the place. This feels like very early AEW when they just had the match turn off every time. And then this distracts Eddie Edwards, allowing for a wake-up call for the win by Heath. Yeah, I don't think I have a clear top spot of the match here. Everything was pretty much run-of-the-mill, but the ending is like negative. That ending was so bad. So PCO, Myers, Macklin, and Heath. Oh, I wonder who's gonna win. I'm predicting Eddie's gonna cost PCO the match. I think Brian Myers has no chance of winning. And this is obviously going to be Steve Macklin's night. He's the next up to lose to Josh Alexander. Because Josh Alexander is that fucking good. Man shouldn't be losing to anybody. He should have like a Roman Reigns title run. TV undercard, but on the upper side of that. Fun match, but terrible ending. So post-match, PCO attacks, run of the mill, drives away Eddie Edwards, and then, yeah, that's pretty much for this. PCO winning also wouldn't be a bad idea. So after this is the design backstage segment where Diener plays an awesome cult leader with Khan and Alan Angels and Sami Callihan, who they're trying to recruit into the faction. They're trying to initiate him. Apparently he's in step 5. And this is an interesting storyline. Other companies could do this. Like have other wrestlers willingly join like cult factions, just like Straight Edge Society. Like some more of that would be nice. Like hell, have someone like drink blood when like trying to join in House of Black as like a cannon fodder. They are pagans, by the way. Have someone like get painted up or something. But yeah, Diener, nice actor. But I expect Sami is trying to tear this faction apart from the inside. And what would be cool is that he tries to do this. Like that's the vibe we're given. But at the end, he succumbs and joins the faction. I don't know if it's just me, but Sami Callihan sort of fits this faction. So after this is Sinister Minister, and this guy is just like killer on the mic. He's such a good promo. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't care about this faction. This is Marty Bell from the Mae Young Classic, who was terrible. Their faction is called the Hex, which is a terrible name, but apparently they're good. I've never seen Allison Kay work yet, but hopefully Marty Bell improved. I like the personal connections to Rosemary. I want them to like do a story of that with Sinister Minister, but they end up looking a bit weak, the Hex do, since they don't fully commit to the Sinister Minister. It's like he's just there for a week. It's not like he's not even going to manage them at the pay-per-view against Poison Dolls. I think that's what they're called. Taya Valkyrie's faction. But yeah, so after this is Masha Slamovich against Alicia Edwards, who's working as a jobber against Masha. Rightfully so. It's a pretty good squash though. Masha shows that she's a better wrestler than Jade Cargill. She kills Alicia. And this is with Mickie James on commentary, who after the match, since Masha continues to attack Alicia, Mickie goes to help, but she herself gets choked out, making Masha look even stronger. And I don't think Masha's gonna win. I think she's an obstacle. She's still young, even if booked really strong. I think Grace is the one who finally retires Mickie James. That's my prediction on that. Grace is just too much on another level than anyone in this division or any other American women's division. Good segment. And so after this is Crazy Steve with Black Taurus, who I loved in Ric Flair's last match. A lot of close-up shots of Crazy Steve here with some of Taurus. It looks really creepy since there's a guy with a bull mask right there beside him. And we have Crazy Steve making faces. And he cuts a promo that Seth Rollins wishes. That he wishes he can convincingly cut. Get rid of the Joker gimmick from Seth. It's terrible. It doesn't suit him. He's a serious fucking wrestler, in my opinion. I liked him more as a babyface. Or as a shit heel. Him as the Joker doesn't work. Crazy Steve can do it better. And he's a lot more believable. He actually looks like a creep who would kill you in a dark alley. Or even in public. With his big, great wrestler bodyguard in Black Taurus, who's intimidating as fuck. But yeah, great segment. I don't think it's the best though. I think first segment is still the best. So after this is a replay of Jonathan Gresham challenging Mike Bailey and Mike Bailey accepting. And then backstage with both competitors being respectful to one another, Johnny Curtis or Dirty Dango is with Santino. And Dirty Dango books a tag team match with Jonathan Gresham and Mike Bailey, the rivals, as a team against Motor City Machine Guns. And then Santino agrees. Learning that this is a good idea from Teddy Long, probably, Mike and Jonathan shake hands and leave frame. What a great, smart managerial move, Johnny Curtis. He outshined Santino, who didn't appreciate this and is big timing the guy. Santino here showing incompetence and some heelish tendencies. But yeah, funny segment. Dirty Dango, I think great character. I want to see him in a feud, especially when he has to defend Santino. So finally for the main event, we have Rich Swann versus Kenny King. And this is the most modern match we have. It's the most indie modern match we have. Fast-paced, show-stealer, evenly matched all of the way, no need for rest holds, and finally something from this generation, unlike the last 3 matches we've had. So yeah, Swan is a high flyer, former WWE wrestler, former Impact champion, and then Kenny King is more of a regular wrestler. He's more of an old school style, but he plays the big man in the match really well. I like the counters to Rich Swann's moves. And I like that he doesn't work that he's big enough to warrant more moves done to him. I like that he's actually avoiding moves, trying to counter them, instead of just having moves thrown at you and it not affecting you just because you're bigger. Size difference is small in this match. I also like that this is a match with no specific limb working, since matches can be more than just working on limbs. Storytelling can be more than that, and more than conversations had in the ring. Top 3 spots. Number 3 is the suplex to DDT counter by, I think, Rich Swann. Number 2 is the kick counter to a single leg crab by Kenny King. He catches Rich Swann. And then the number 1 spot is the kick battle before the finish. That was sick. That's how you close out a show. In-ring trash talk was the worst part of the match. It was cringe. I hate Kenny King yelling out Shoryuken. I don't think he's established as a nerd character and he should cut that out. And then Rich Swann yells out Kenny King, like the name, per syllable. Kenny King! Like that, like doing a Kamehameha. And it's so cringy. It sounded so bad that I felt so good when his kick got countered into a single leg crab. Cut that shit out. Have some normal trash talk, please. Learn from Chris Bay. So this match has an awesome climax, some counters, some counterfests, mixed Phoenix Splash, Dragon Suplex, Tiger Driver near fall. Finish is Kenny King attempting a Royal Flush. He has the match won, but then it's countered into a pin by Rich for the win. And the mics did not pick up the counting, like the hand hitting the ring. It was like there was no ref there, and then the camera shifted away from the ref's hand, so I didn't know what the count was. I thought there was still going to be a kick out, but no. So yeah, fix that. Post-match is Kenny King attacking Rich Swann. Josh Alexander comes out to save his friend, but Kenny King dodges. Swann super kicks Alexander, heating up the feud, with Kenny outside, laughing his ass off. And I predict that there is going to be a Josh Alexander match before the pay-per-view to get Kenny out of this feud. Fun match, but this still needs to heat up more. I'm excited for next week since we might get Josh Alexander, and Joe Hendry, and Trey Miguel, and the Guns in a match. Yeah, sucks that this show has no champions, but it did have Joe Hendry, so plus points for that. So yeah, I thought the show was good. Balanced in the good and in the bad, slightly leaning more to good. They can pull off AEW quality matches while also being able to pull off WWE storytelling. And that's kind of what sets Impact apart in this first viewing for me. I think New Japan and AEW can learn a lot from Impact. And I think Impact deserves more fans. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.